They're cooked, they're not fried. That's maybe a thing to try. And of course, pork knuckle. Did you see the big pork knuckles yesterday in the restaurant? They're like this big pork knuckles, and they are really good. Pork knuckle. Or what they also eat in Munich is, I think you call it spam. I think you call it spam, yeah? Is that where the word spam from mail comes from? So it's not a good word actually. But it's like you know, it's like a slice of kind of cooked meat of no specific. Nobody knows what's in it. Is that what's it? Yeah. Then mystery meat, yeah. So and they call it in Munich and in Bavaria they call it Leberkäse, which also doesn't sound very inviting, which is namely liver cheese. That doesn't really sound inviting, but that's, you know, what they very often eat, like a roll, a hard roll like you saw them in the hotel, and then with a slice of spam in it, Bavarian spam. So I can really recommend the Bavarian spam, but that's maybe something that they don't give in the Hofbräuhaus. That's what they do in the, you know, in the snack places on the road, yeah. Maybe they do it also in the Hofbräuhaus, I'm not sure. But for sure you can have the white sausages, you can have pork knuckle, you can have schnitzel, you can have bratwurst, you can have sauerkraut, you can have potato salad. So you can have a hearty meal in the Hofbräuhaus if you like. So it's Hofbräuhaus. And Hofbräuhaus is a big beer hall, maybe one of the most famous beer halls in the world. And then when you go there for lunch, you get a little bit of a feeling of Oktoberfest in May, yeah? That's the thing to do. If you want to go there, I will take you there after the Glockenspiel. So when the Glockenspiel is done, I will walk you to the Hofbräuhaus, and I'll make sure you'll find your way, that we have a seat, that you have a seat, and then that you can order. One thing in the Hofbräuhaus, make sure to draw the attention of the waiters timely, so in time, because they are not known to be the fastest waiters in the world. Yeah? They are a little bit slow, and it's sometimes very busy there. So when you go to the Hofbräuhaus, make sure to get them to you, that you can pay at the end. And yeah, that will be fun if you like to experience such a beer hall atmosphere. I do recommend that. And otherwise, you just stay in town. There's a beautiful food market in town with food from all over the world. It's like a big square. It's very cozy. It's called the Victualia Market. You can also go, you know, shopping. There are big pedestrian shopping streets. We go to the third biggest city of Germany, huh? Munich, 1.2 million by now, I think. And Berlin is by far the biggest. Yeah, Berlin is more than 3 million.
That's Saffron. No, not Saffron. Where's your horizon, Don? What's that red? Oh, canola.
I know, I was gonna say, I like it.
Whatever, yeah.
And the Danube, those two rivers, that's our northern border in the mainland. And of course in England it was Hadrian's Wall. That's how far the Romans came. So let's say about half of Germany, a bit more, the southern half basically, was Roman. The Romans were here. In the north you still had the German tribes. When the Roman Empire fell, it was chaos. I think you call it the Dark Ages. Maybe you had it at school, the Dark Ages. It was a total, it was very chaotic in Europe. A lot of different tribes, you know, went through the continent. A lot of civilization had gone when the Roman Empire fell. Huh? Romans had a very high level of civilization. It was all gone. It was chaos. And then there was a man who came up, and before him it already started a bit, but he was the first one to create order again. That was Charlemagne. And I'm talking now about more than 1200 years ago, around the year 800. And he had an empire which is about, let's say, part of like Netherlands, Belgium, France, a big part of France, and a big part of present-day Germany. That was an empire about 1200 years ago, Charlemagne. So he had basically France and Germany. And he was crowned emperor in the year 800 in Aachen. And he made a system, the so-called feudal system. Emperor on top, the emperor was chosen amongst the highest nobility, and then they had a feudal system, and down below the people just had to shut up and work on the land and give part of the harvest to the noble people, and then the noble people protected them. So it was a hierarchical system. And that stayed like that for quite a long time. You know, it became a bit more lenient, but basically that was the case until almost 1800, until Napoleon came. And until the French Revolution, actually, and then Napoleon came, of course. But Charlemagne still had Germany and France. But then his sons and grandsons, they split up the empire in a western half, which later became France, and an eastern half, which later became the Holy Roman Empire. Yeah? Got it? Which wasn't called Germany then yet, but the Holy Roman Empire. And in between the western half, which became France, and the eastern half, which became the Holy Roman Empire, there was an area along the Rhine, a narrow north-south area, which became, let's call it, the battleground. Because they divided into France and later the part that later became Germany, but there was also a third middle part. That's Alsace, Lorraine, and then along the Rhine River south. That area became the battleground between the two big Germany and the Holy Roman France and the Holy Roman Empire, which the two main parts. And ever since the sons and grandsons of Charlemagne, there has been fighting between France and the Holy Roman Empire, let's say Germany. And you know, even in the 20th century, First World War, Second World War, always trouble because of that middle part along the Rhine River. But let's say, so the grandson split it up of Charlemagne, and then you had two countries, France on the west and the Holy Roman Empire of German nations with the emperor on top, the feudal system here in present-day Germany. And this Holy Roman Empire lasted, let's say, from 900, let's say the grandsons, 850 of Charlemagne, until Napoleon. I mentioned it yesterday, the First Empire, First Reich. And when Napoleon came, you know, he wanted to modernize things, and he thought this old feudal system, that's nothing. He was at first, he was quite revolutionary, later on he became an emperor himself, Napoleon. And he changed all that. He took the last emperor of the throne, 1806, First Empire after almost 1,000 years finished. And then Germany was divided up into separate states, because during the Holy Roman Empire it was a patchwork of maybe 400 states, all led by noble people, but the emperor was on top. It was one empire for almost 1,000 years. But then they became separate countries. Bavaria became a kingdom in the 1800s, and of course there was the big kingdom of Prussia, which came up very much in the 17th, 18th century. Prussia, where Berlin is in the northeast, and you had some other countries, let's say about 12, 13 separate states. But the people in Germany, they longed to be united again. And the strongest state was Prussia, where Berlin is. And then Prussia was very strong in the 1800s, and they wanted to make a whole empire again. They wanted to make a second empire. So they fought a war against France. Why not? They did that all the time, yeah? And the other way around too. So, you know, the Prussians took the lead, and they fought against France, and they wanted to unite Germany again in a second empire. And they succeeded, and that happened in 1871. Germany was reunited. So for about 70 years they were separate states. In the 1800s never reunited. You had one Germany again, 1871, led by the Prussian king, who became the emperor. And his name was always Wilhelm, William. William I, William II. It was one big empire again, led by Prussia, the emperor and his chancellor Bismarck. Then of course, you know, at the end of the 1800s there was a lot of technology coming up, you know, everybody, there was a lot of testosterone in the air, let's call it like that, a lot of testosterone. You know, every country wanted to show off, there was a lot of nationalism. The 19th century was a century of romanticism, but then nationalism. And every country said, hey, I'm number one, you know, I can pee furthest. Everybody does a contest who pees furthest. You say the same thing in the States? Yeah? A pissing contest, yeah, there's like a lot of testosterone in the air. Every country wanted to be the best. France and England had a lot of colonies, yeah? You know, they went all over the world and they just conquered countries and they became colonies, yeah, in the 1800s. And Germany also wanted to have colonies, and they wanted to show, hey, we're also strong, we can also pee far. But France and England didn't want that, of course. So there was a lot of tension in the air. Germany wanted to be a lot of nationalism, a lot of testosterone, and everybody was competing. Everybody wanted to have the most modern weapons, most modern technology. There was too much testosterone in the air, and at some point it, how you say it, it snapped. You know, there was it just needed a spark to start something bad. Even though they were all family, you know, all the royal families in Europe, they were all family. They intermarried. You know, it's weird. Also the Russians, and like they're all family, all the royal families. The British royal family, they're German. They're from Hanover, they're German. They're not Windsor, they called themselves Windsor after the Second World War. But they're the Hanover family. So everybody was family, but there was too much testosterone, needed a spark, and the spark was that the crown prince of the Habsburg emperor in Austria, in Vienna, he was killed in Sarajevo by a Serbian nationalist, because Austria in those days, end of the 1800s, early 1900s, was a huge empire also, led by the Habsburgs. We're going to talk more about them. And so he was killed. The Austrians were angry on the Serbs. The Serbs were backed up by the Russians. The Germans said, hey, stay off of the Austrians. It just needed a spark. And then they thought we'd go up, we'd have a little fight, you know, and then in 2 months we're back. 1914, They were used to have a big battle. They just went there and then in a few months it was all over. That was how it was in the past. But it wasn't like that this time, the terrible First World War. We're going to talk more about it when we go to the north of France and to Belgium, Flanders fields, where the poppies grow next to the crosses, row by row. Yeah, we're going to talk more about this terrible First World War then. But it was totally unnecessary. Nobody wanted it. Just too much nationalism, too much technology, too much testosterone. Nobody actually wanted it. They thought it would be over in a few weeks or in a few months, because that's what they were used to. But it took 4 years and millions of deaths. And they had new technology, the gas and the tanks and the planes, and terrible. And after the First World War, they punished the Germans. There was a meeting in Versailles, and the Germans were heavily punished. And then the crisis came at the end of the 20s, and the Germans still had to pay and pay and pay. At some point, bread in Germany was 1 million Deutschmark. That says enough, Total poverty, frustration, and I told it already before. If there's frustration, there's always a lunatic that stands up and he tries to take advantage of the frustration. He wants to take the frustration of all the people and make it into a war machine. And this lunatic got up in Germany, Adolf Hitler. And the people were so stupid to follow him because they were frustrated and just dirt poor. And they were, you know, they were punished after the First World War. Life was tough, and they just thought, you know, Hitler said, hey, I'm going to make it better. He had the Volkswagen, he made the Autobahns, and people followed him. So whenever life is hard, take responsibility yourself and don't follow lunatics. You can always see when somebody's a lunatic. If they're shouting from a stage, ah, 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 they're lunatics. Watch out for lunatics, yeah? Because, you know, if life is tough, you gotta digest it yourself, and then not blame other people, because that's what Hitler, of course, first did. So he said, I'm gonna make life better, Volkswagen, Autobahn, and then, you know, we're gonna make life better. And then he says at some point, so follow me, and then he says, you have to follow me, or I kill you or put you in jail. And then at some point he says, hey, we have a common enemy, the Jews. You know, his story changes all the time. And the Germans, they followed, and that's really sad, but that's what happened. But it could have happened in different places. Germans do have a tendency, and that's this hierarchical system of the feudal system of the First Empire. There was always somebody above you, and they think very hierarchically. If you're a professor in Germany, everybody says to you, "Yes, sir, professor." If you're a tour guide in Germany, you say, "Yes, sir, tour guide." They think very hierarchically. They look up to authority, and it has a bit to do with history. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to tag countries. I don't want to tag people. But there are certain little differences in history. History makes people. Not every individual is independent, but there are little differences between countries. Germans have a tendency to follow authority. Oh, here, I think that's hops on the right. These big things, I think that's hops. Yeah, this is hops. This is hops country here. For the beer, or for the Munich beer. This is all hops. They're still small. They climb along those poles. So, but Germans are fantastic people. The country is so organized. They're law-abiding. They are so organized, and they're good people, very polite, because of this authority thing. But it means they're very polite. But it also means they think that you have to do certain things in a certain way, and sometimes it goes a bit too far. But it's a great country. I love Germany. It's one of my favorite countries. Good people, but something really bad happened here because they followed this lunatic. The rest of the story. World War II actually was a consequence of World War I, because of the strong punishment, because of the crisis, because of the poverty, and because of the frustration. That's what led to World War II. Wow. Fortunately, Hitler got the power in 1933. He tried to get to power already in the 1920s. He did that in Munich, in the beer hall. He tried to get to power, but that putsch, they call it a putsch, was hit down, and then he was put in jail. In jail, he wrote this book, Mein Kampf, My Battle, and then when he came out, he won the elections of 1933. So, First Empire, almost 1,000 years. Second Empire, 1870 to the end of the First World War. That's when the Second Empire was finished. Second Empire only 50 years, and fortunately, I said it yesterday, fortunately, the Third Reich, Third Empire, only 12 years. That's good, otherwise it would have been terrible, of course. So, First World War was ended. Germany was divided. A communist eastern part, which called itself German Democratic Republic, but I don't think they were very democratic. And the Western Germany, of course, was Western-oriented. The American troops were in Germany. The headquarters was, by the way, close to Heidelberg, the American headquarters of the whole of Europe. Americans were here. The Russians were in Eastern Germany. Berlin was divided up, had the wall. Also the French and the English had parts of Germany. And so West-East, communism and capitalism. And then the Berlin Wall was there for about almost 30 years, 27, 28 years. It started in the early 60s, and it was torn down, fortunately, in 1989, because, walls in the end, they will be torn down, and people want to be free, and so the Berlin Wall did not last, and Eastern Germany did not last. Communism is not free, so in the end it will not be there anymore. And so communism was over, the Berlin Wall fell, 1989, Germany was reunited. Western Germany had as a capital Bonn at the Rhine River, but now of course Berlin became the capital again. And since then the Germans, even since the war, the Germans have behaved, they really did a lot of, how do you call it, introspection. Hey, what the hell happened? What the hell happened? What did we do? Second World War, the Holocaust. They did a lot of introspection. What went wrong? And they showed the world that they were good. You know, they worked hard after the war. You know, they got the Marshall Plan. That was fantastic because then they could rebuild instead of the punishment after World War I. So Germany was back up soon. You know, they are such hard workers. They built up the country again. Really, really hard workers, determined, very polite, nice people, and they showed the world. They took a bit of introspection and did some, let's say, study inside themselves what happened, and this will never happen again. And now Germany is a fantastic country. Hardworking people, very democratic, you know, a good member of the European Union. They're always positive people. It's a great country, yeah? And for the last almost 20 years it was reigned by the Christian Democrats, or reigned, you know, the biggest political party were the Christian Democrats. Maybe you know the female Prime Minister, Angela Merkel. And now it's the Social Democrats are leading the government. Olaf Scholz is now the Prime Minister since 2021. Good country, hard workers, a federal state, federal government in Berlin, but all the 16 states also have their own government. 16 states. We came in the state of Hessen, Frankfurt. We went further south to Heidelberg, and that's Baden-Württemberg. And the southwestern state, also a big one, and now we are in the southeastern state, which is the biggest state of Germany, the state of Bavaria, named after the tribe who lived here in Roman times. There is a Volkswagen, huh? You call it's a new Beetle, huh? This is a Cabrio Beetle. The Beetle is like a legendary design, huh? The Beetle. So, yeah, beautiful country. The landscape, you know, where we came in, Frankfurt, it's already a little bit middle mountains. You know, it goes to about 2,000, 3,000 feet, maybe 3,500, some mountains. But the north is quite flat. And then going to the middle, it gets a bit hilly, like undulating, like here. And the south is has high mountains. We will see that south of Munich. We will go into the Alps. The highest mountain of Germany, the German Alps, is 10,000 feet. That's the Zugspitze. And then, of course, in Austria, the mountains go higher, and in Switzerland, they even go highest. Although the highest mountain is just across the border from Switzerland into France. So we will see the Alps in the afternoon. But Munich itself is in a flat plain just before the Alps. The plain of the Isar River. The Isar River, which is not a big river, a river of about 180 miles. That goes through Munich, the Isar River, E-I-S-A-R. Munich means little monk, and after our stop I'm going to talk a bit more about Munich. So Germany had a history with a lot of glory, but also a lot of horror, but it's a good country, and it's a beautiful country with a lot of beautiful and high art, you know, art and science, you know, like Albert Einstein, he was German, you know, he came from Ulm. Composers, you know, Beethoven, he came from Bonn. Writers, you know, literature, the most famous one is Goethe. Maybe you heard about Goethe, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. He's like the Shakespeare of Germany, you know. If Goethe, you know, wherever you are in Germany, if Goethe went to a toilet in a house, they have a plaque on the facade. Goethe went to the toilet here, you know. Almost every little village has a little plaque on the facade. Goethe was here. He's like the literature prince, the Shakespeare of Germany. You know, he's their big emblem. So a lot of high culture, beautiful music, beautiful classical composers, beautiful literature, great builders, hardware makers nowadays, hard workers, good country. And then hide it underwater somewhere. And what the towns then did, of course, every town wanted to prevent it, so they rubbed in the maple with green soap, you know, or things so they couldn't steal it and take it away, and they hid the maypole, to keep it hid until the festival. But it was like a big thing. They tried to steal each other's maypole. That's a beautiful spring festival which goes back to pagan times. Putting up a maypole. We will see several maypoles on our tour. Yeah. Every little town has a maypole. They're beautifully decorated, but nowadays there's also a lot of commercial advertising on it because of the different. In the past, also the different crafts. Of course, they decorated the maypole in a village, and now there's also a lot of advertising. But it's always, mostly it's blue and white, because Bavaria, the colors of Bavaria are blue and white. The flag of Bavaria are blue and white diamonds. A lot of blue and white diamonds. That's also the colors of BMW, huh? There's blue and white in it, huh? Black, blue and white. Blue and white are the colors of Bavaria. I told you that almost every royal family in Europe is of German origin, because there were so much noble people in Germany because of this Holy Roman Empire, with all the sovereigns and all the small states in the Middle Ages. Highest nobility was all in Germany. So if people needed a king, they went to Germany. Like the colors of Greece. You know the flag of Greece? It's white and blue, and it has a cross on it, of course for Christianity. But the white and blue of Greece is basically the white and blue of Bavaria, because the first king of Greece, when Greece became independent of the Turks in 1830, they just went to Bavaria. They needed a king, and they went to Bavaria. Wittelsbach, that's a high noble family. You're going to be our king. And he took the colors to Greece. The Greece flag is actually German. It's Bavarian. It's totally ridiculous, but the royal family of England is from Hanover. Before that, the king was Dutch in England. He was your king. He was your king before you were independent. Who am I talking about?
George?
Yeah, but no, later on. Williamsburg, Virginia. William and Mary. He was Dutch. And you were not independent yet. You were still under England. That's why Williamsburg, Virginia. That's and then after that, Hanover took over. First, another one of the family, Anne, and then you had the Hanover from 1700 on, and they call themselves Windsor, but they're actually the family of Hanover. And also the Russian Tsars, they were family. Also family of the Dutch royal family. It was so weird that this First World War started. They should have drank a cup of tea with each other, family, and then, hey, let's not fight.
Yeah, the worst fight between family.
In the development of Europe after the Dark Ages. And in Munich, this Benedictine monastery, especially Saint Benedict of Monte Cassino, he was the first one to build monasteries on the European mainland. And it started in Italy. The first monastery was in the 6th century, 526, in Monte Cassino. Maybe you know Monte Cassino because of the Second World War. But that's when Saint Benedict had his first monastery, but they spread all over Europe. And then next to those Benedictine monasteries, cities evolved. And that's what you see in a lot of places. A lot of places started with a monastery. 9th century, the Benedictine monastery was built, so that's like almost 1200 years ago. And then a little city grew next to the monastery. And the ruling family of Bavaria, from the end of the 1100s until the end of the First World War, so that's like 750 years almost, the ruling family was the Wittelsbach family. High nobility, the Wittelsbach family. And at first they were counts, then they became dukes, and in the 1800s, after Napoleon was defeated, Bavaria became a monarchy, a kingdom. And this ruling family chose in the 1300s Munich as one of their residences, and then it became their main residence. So there was a Gothic palace of them. But then in the 1500s, 1600s, they built a
this
new
rock
residence,
wall.
which is like a Renaissance style, quite austere
But they're
palace.
just little cages
But it's
full of
huge,
rocks.
and inside it has fantastic rooms and a beautiful theater and fantastic art. That's the residence of the Wittelsbach family, the ruling family of Bavaria. So Bavaria was a kingdom until the end of the First World War, and of course they belonged to the empire, they belonged to the empire of the Prussians, but they also were a kingdom. And the last one, Ludwig III, fled in 1918, and then you had in Germany, I mentioned it before, the struggle between the right and the left side of the political spectrum. And in the 1920s, Hitler tried to get to power, but he failed, fortunately. He failed, and the coup for power was in Munich, yeah? And they call it the beer hall putsch, yeah? And he marched, the fascists marched to a galleria, which we will see in Munich. It's called the General's Hall, the Feldherrenhalle. But you know, the grab to power failed, fortunately, and but when the Nazis did get to power in 1933, this galleria, which we will see in Munich, the General's Hall, became for them like a kind of a sacred place, you know. And then people, when they walked past this galleria, they had to greet, they had to salute, and of course, a lot of people didn't want to do that, who didn't have the Nazi sympathy. And then they took like a little side alley not to have to salute to this galleria. I'm going to show it to you when we get into Munich. This is the Feldherrenhalle. And in this General's Hall, there's also a statue of General Tilly. And we know General Tilly because he was the one who asked the mayor of Rothenburg to drink this tankard of wine, the master draft, yeah? So he was really an historical figure, but of course the story of the master draft is a bit for fun, huh? Yeah. I think, at least. Yeah, so we're going into a town, a big town, but it has a really relaxed feel. Munich is a fun town. It doesn't feel like oh, I'm in a huge town. It has a certain tranquility. It's a pleasant town, a very pleasant town, especially the heart of the city. It doesn't feel as big as it actually is. And of course Munich, you know, I talked about the food already, huh? I think everybody's going for the Spam, Leberkäse, or maybe for the white sausage with the sweet mustard. They always are in two, and you know, it's like there's a skin around it. So you take the skin away and then you take the sausage, yeah, but that's the way to do it. Yeah, so you're gonna like it, and of course you can also go for a pretzel, just for a pretzel or just for a picture in the beer hall and eat somewhere else. But the food is always good in Germany, and it's not expensive, and it's hearty. Huh? You know, this Oktoberfest, it started because of a royal wedding in the 19th century when Bavaria was a kingdom. There was a royal wedding, it was a huge feast, and then they decided to have a huge beer festival every year. And it's on a huge, they call it the Theresia Meadow, Theresienwiese, but it's not a meadow anymore because of course it's more like a big fair, you know, with a lot of, with a Ferris wheel, you know, all kinds of things for the families and kids, and a lot of long beer halls. Every brewery has its own beer hall. And I always go with image tours when I am there, and that time of year I go to Hacker Pschorr. Hacker Pschorr, that's one of the breweries. And they have a beautiful beer tent.
Wow.
It's, oh yeah, on the right, ladies and gentlemen, the stadium of one of the best soccer teams in the world, Bavaria Munich. It looks a bit like a grey tire, huh? But it lights up in the evening, and it's of course sponsored by an insurance company, Allianz Arena. That's the Bavaria Munich, and Bavaria Munich has won the European Champions League maybe 5 times or something. They're very top-notch. They're like almost like Barcelona and Real Madrid and Manchester City, although Manchester City didn't win that much yet. But Bavaria Munich is a great team. They become champion in Germany, but not this year. This year they're not doing very well. But Bavaria Munich is the top-notch soccer team, and that was their stadium. The Allianz Arena.
Car insurance.
Okay, so this was a royal wedding. That's when they started with the beer huge party, and then they did it every year. At the end of September it starts. It's like a few weeks, and it's a lot of fun. And this tent where I always go, Hacker Pure, is like the roof of the tent is like a big sky, and you see the skyline of Munich all around you. It's a beautiful tent, great beer. It's always fun. But that's the Oktoberfest, and every year with the Oktoberfest, 2 million gallons of beer. People drink 2 million gallons of beer. So that means that 2 million people, everybody have to drink a gallon. I don't think everybody drinks a gallon, so probably they have like 4 million visitors or something. 2 million gallons of beer every year. And where we're going, if you want to go to the Court Brewery, the Hofbräu House, they pour every day 3,000 gallons of beer. 3,000 of gallons a day. That's quite a lot, huh? So it's quite a beer hall. Yeah, we're coming to the...
Where's siding here?
To the peripheric, the circular freeway around Munich. And
glass, cool. Yeah, so you can see. BMW, Bavaria, Munich. What's the W stand for?
Bavarian Motor Works.
Oh, Bavarian Motor Works. All right. I never knew that.
we're going to see the Olympic Stadium of the Olympics of 1972.
These buildings look, you know, like the 1960s. You used to have those toys that you build buildings. You know, yeah, you know, I used to something like that. I don't remember what, but they were glass door. Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe you saw the movie Munich of Steven Spielberg.
Nope. I guess I need to
It's
see it
about
now.
the terrible thing that happened during the 1972 Olympics.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. That's right. The Israelis.
You know, the Israeli athletes
Yep.
that were kidnapped by Palestinian terrorists, and you know they were killed. That was terrible. And the movie is called Munich, and it's all about the Olympic
Maybe I
the
have
terrorist
seen it.
act of the Olympic Games of '72. And then, despite what happened, they decided to let the Olympics Games, you know, take place, which was quite a decision, you know. But that's what they did. But it was a terrible thing, and the Israeli athletes being killed by the Palestinian terrorists. That was in 1972, and we're going to see that Olympic Stadium. It still looks like a modern architecture building. It's a very special building. It looks a bit like a spider web. But before we get to that, we get to the BMW building. BMW building, the old one, is right ahead of us above the tunnel. You can see it in the far. They look like cylinders, like 4 cylinders of an engine. That's the old office building of BMW. We will pass it. We will pass BMW. We will pass the Olympic Stadium. Then we're going to turn the bus and see it again. And then we go back and go into town here. And you know, when we get out of the tunnel, we might see, when you get out of the tunnel, you might see the word Dachau. Do you know the name Dachau?
Yes.
It was the first German concentration camp. And by the way, close to Nuremberg, there was the concentration camp Mauthausen. Maybe you heard about Mauthausen? Another concentration camp. But Dachau is famous. Of course, the most horrible word is Auschwitz. But Dachau was the first concentration camp of the Nazis. And that was in the beginning of the war, and they brought their political enemies, gypsies, homosexuals in those days, terrible, and all political opponents, left-wing politicians and middle party politicians, people who protested against the Nazis. They were brought to Dachau, and a lot of them were killed. It was not an, how do you call it, an extermination camp like Auschwitz was, you know, killing everybody, like with the gas, and but a lot of people were killed there in Dachau, and that's very close to Munich. It's like 10 miles northwest of Munich. You might see it on the road signs. There's a telecommunication tower, and you can already see a bit of the Olympic Stadium. It looks like a spider web. Coming up on the right, BMW. BMW, this is the old BMW office. It looks like cylinders of an engine. You see the colors, white and blue, that's the colors of BMW, white, blue and black. White and blue is the colors of Bavaria. This is like cylinders. This is the BMW main office, and they built a kind of a museum, BMW World, and that's, they also make the Mini, huh? You see the word Mini? The Mini Cooper is now made by BMW. These buildings, these modern buildings on the right, are all BMW buildings. By the way, they also make motorbikes, huh? BMW motorbikes. Bavarian Motorworks. Modern building here, BMW Welt means to BMW World. So this is, and it also shows Mini, the Mini Cooper, they make it. And now coming up on the left are the Olympic Indoor Stadium and the Olympic Outdoor Stadium of 1972. They look like spider webs, very modern architecture, very special. En dan moet je zorgen dat je veel op ergens draait. This is the indoor stadium on the left, the first one, and the second one is the outdoor stadium. And it's into the ground, you know. You see that's the audience, and then it goes into the ground, the stadium is underground. So that's the stadiums of the Olympics on the left of 1972. And another thing, 1988. In this Olympic stadium, the Dutch soccer team became European champion. 1988. Holland, a small country, half of Maine. They beat Russia 2-0. Look, Dachau was on the road signs. Did you see it, Dachau?
They have museums in Dachau. I would hope not.
In Dachau? Yeah, they do. They've got the barracks and their gas chambers are there. You know, I think they didn't use the gas chambers for gas in there, but they have it. And,
I thought they did. I thought they did gas juice there.
so too. Anyway, it's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. It's good things set up there.
Oh, is it? It's the one in Israel when you go there and oh my gosh, the children's memorial to the children. I mean, you're quiet as you walk through. It's so touching.
Yeah, that's such a sad thing.
So I wonder if it would be a place where they would admit that they were wrong, or would it be a place where they...
It's been a number of years since I was there.
Okay, so we saw Counter-Reformation. You know, you had the Reformation, Luther. A lot of people became Protestant. But, of course, the Catholic Church, they didn't want to lose souls. They wanted to get the souls back to the church. So they started a counterattack, which was like, you know, what did they do? They built a lot of new monasteries. They started the Jesuit monasteries. They started the Theatines. They started all kinds of monasteries. And they built beautiful Baroque churches. The churches were so beautiful, so Baroque inside. They just did that to show to people, hey, we built the most beautiful churches. Come back to the mother church. Eh? Forget Protestantism. Come back to the Roman, you know, to the faith of Rome, to Catholicism. So they built a lot of beautiful churches and Baroque churches and monasteries to get the people back. And you can see beautiful Baroque churches, Baroque architecture, Baroque interiors, very ornate. That's what they did to try to influence the people to get back to the Catholic Church. And Munich was the heart of the Counter-Reformation. And in the 30 Years' War, it was Catholics against Protestants, but it was also about power too, of course, about power. It was also about power, but also about religion, Catholics against Protestants. Terrible war in the 1600s, but Munich was the heart of the Catholic side here in Germany. So you see a lot of beautiful churches. I do recommend at the town square there's a church named St. Peter's. Huh? This is the Rome of Bavaria, the Rome of Germany, and I do recommend to go in. I can take you in there. It's pretty beautiful. Then you see how ornate a Baroque church is. The word Baroque also actually means weird, over the top. That's what Baroque means. Over the top. So very, very decorated. And Bavaria has a lot of those churches. It's the heart of the Catholic Church in Germany.
I think I might put my rain jacket on. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do that because I need this for warm. Maybe I'll just take that jacket.
Then we walk to the square of Mary Square, to the new city hall. We look. The Glockenspiel will start at 12 o'clock. We'll probably be at the square around 11:30. The Glockenspiel will start at 12. You can go to the toilet. Maybe look around a little bit. Maybe we also have time to check out St. Peter's Church inside. If you don't go to the Court Brewery, to the beer hall, to the Hofbräuhaus, then you can yeah, maybe shop around a little bit, or maybe climb the tower, go with the elevator up the tower of the St. Peter's Church. You have a beautiful view. When it's clear you can see the Alps, of course, but it's not really extremely clear today. You can maybe visit the Frauenkirche with the church with the two onion spires, the landmark of Munich, together with a little monk. Maybe do some shopping. Don't go for Swarovski. We go tomorrow, if you have the chance, in Innsbruck at the source where Swarovski started, to find some nice Swarovski crystal if you like. But there's a lot of nice shops here, and enjoy the town. Or go with me after the Glockenspiel to the beer hall, yeah? Who wants to go to the beer hall to have a look at least? You can just have a look also, huh? And take a picture. Who wants to go to the beer hall? Yeah? Or several of you? And the other ones who don't want to go to the beer hall, I do recommend, there is a fantastic food market. It's called the Victorian Market, right next to the main square, with food from all over the world. You can also eat something there. You can do some shopping. There's a toy museum in the old city hall of Munich, a beautiful toy museum, if you like toy museums. Okay, so we're going into the heart of Munich, and a bit further you will see the Arch of Triumph. You know, the Arch of Triumph, it's Paris.
T-Mobile.
But every country wanted to honor their army, huh?
Yes,
the Arch of Triumph was to honor the French army. It was an idea of Napoleon. It was built after his death, but it was an idea of Napoleon. And the Bavarian army, the Bavarian king also made an Arch of Triumph for his army in the 19th century. And that's the Arch of Triumph of Bavaria. It's called the Siegestor, Victory Gate, basically. Triumph Gate. You can see it straight ahead, huh? There's a lady with a lance on it, Lady Bavaria, and she's on a chariot pulled by 4 lions, a big bronze statue. And we will go not underneath it, but around it. The Arch of Triumph from Munich.
Double bus.
Well,
precies achter de steek.
it's called Schwabing. Schwabing. Now look, the German taxis are always beige. Mostly beige Mercedes. But also other brands, but mostly they are beige Mercedes. Like the one on the left. You see here, with the blinking lights? That's a typical German taxi. Beige cars. There's another one coming up. You see a beige Mercedes? You say beige, huh? Beige, yeah. So we're going to the very nice alternative quarter of Schwabing. A lot of nice places, galleries, bars, young people. And this is the Arch of Triumph of Munich. It's a small one. The one in Paris is huge. The one in Paris is really huge. The Arch of Triumph. This is what they call it, the Siegestor, Victory Gate. Let's call it Victory Gate. And this side is restored. You see the reliefs are restored? But on the other side it's not restored, it's still destroyed. It's to remember the destruction. 75% of Munich was destroyed during the war. So the other side is not as much restored of Victory Gate, yeah? And now you see this is the main street going to the heart of town. If you look straight ahead, you see a tower in the middle of the street in the back, you see? You see 3 arches?
Yeah.
That's the Galleria that I mentioned where the Nazis marched. And you had to greet the statues on the Galleria in the Nazi time, otherwise they would pick you up and put you in prison. So a lot of people took a side alley so they didn't have to salute, yeah? But that's where the Nazis marched in the coup that failed. This is all built in the early 1800s by the first king Ludwig I. And it's the university, left and right, the University of Munich. It's like neo-Romanesque style. The church, look at the beautiful roof, the colored tiles. partly Gothic, partly Romanesque, but all neo, all 19th century. This is less than 200 years old. Yeah, it's not that old.
Not that old.
This was the new main road into town built by King Ludwig 200 years ago. And then the building straight ahead, behind the Galleria of the crew of Hitler, the high tower, that's the new city hall where we walk later on, yeah? And on top the little statue, that's a little monk.
Well,
Unique
John,
little
those would
monk.
be flying buttresses, right?
It's all beautiful neo-style buildings, neo-Roman. This is neo-Renaissance on the left, neo-Renaissance on the right. This is the library. Rustic Renaissance with big blocks of stone, neo-Renaissance, writers of the past.
I would spend all my time
Artists
there.
of the past. This is quite a street,
Look
huh?
at the bicycles, man.
Quite impressive, built by, mainly by Ludwig the First, because Bavaria became a kingdom links, huh? Oh, dit doen we aan het eind en dan terugdraaien. So we go until the end, we go to this General's Hall with the statues of the General Tilly, huh? Who forced the mayor to drink the master draft in Rothenburg, his statues there. The generals of the 30 Years' War, and that's why the Nazis marched there. They wanted to make the connection. They wanted to make the connection with the glory of the Holy Roman Empire, you know, by having their manifestations and parades in Nuremberg, and they marched here when they tried to get to power because they wanted to
Hawaiian
make the
Kitchen
connection
Bar, Maui.
with
So it's probably
the glory of Munich in the past. So they had a kind of an agenda, you know, they wanted to influence the people with and make a connection. The German flag is black, yellow, and black, yellow, red, huh? Black, gold, and red. The German flag. That was on the left now. And then you know the European flag? Dus je gaat daar helemaal opdraaien, ja? Maar draai je 180 graden. 360. Ja, maar dat is helemaal opdraaien. The street, of course, he looks like a Roman emperor, but he is like... Oh, moet je wel kunnen draaien. We're going to turn here. I wanted to show you his statue, and there's a nice monastery coming up, the yellow church with the two towers and the big dome. That's the Theatine Church. That was one of the counter-Reformation monasteries they built. That's a beautiful Baroque church too. And the big building before 12 o'clock, the big block building, that's already part of the royal palace of the, and it used to be the palace already in the 1600s, 1700s of the Wittelsbach family who rules here.
There's Mr. Amazon.
There's an Amazon.
Wonder if he found me with my package.
Okay, we are going a little bit to the right because we want to make the curve, because we go back basically. I just wanted to show you the church and the General's Hall. And now we will make a turn. So that's the General's Hall, the three arches on the right. And now this garden is the garden of the royal palace, of the residence of the Wittelsbach family already earlier, before they were kings. And now we saw the main buildings, and we go a bit further to the right, and then we see some Nazi architecture. Nowadays it's an art museum, but now it's clearly a Nazi architecture. We're going to see it in a minute. And you can see Nazi architecture was like inspired by the Romans, so it's huge buildings, like they built this convention center in Nuremberg, which looks like the Colosseum, and this huge stadium where Hitler spoke, which is still there in Nuremberg. But their architecture was robust, big blocks of stone, angular, so inspired by the Romans, but not so beautiful, not so harmonious, you know. It was all angular, like their minds, and maybe like their hearts, yeah? Angular, rigid.
What stone they talking about?
That's their architecture, and the main architect of the Nazis was Albert Speer, who got out of jail. He just said, I didn't know. Oh, the Holocaust, I didn't know. Oh, I didn't know. He just denied everything. And of course, he was just making buildings, that's true. He was not killing people, but he was part of the system. And he got out, Albert Speer, the architect of Hitler. So now you see in the far, on the left, just before 12, you see the European flag. A blue flag with a circle of 12 yellow stars, that's the European flag. And the German flag, gold, red and black, you see? And the white and blue is Bavaria, but the official Bavarian flag is a flag full of white and blue diamonds. So this is the Bavaria of the 1800s, this street, built by the king.
All the buildings are about the same height. Kind of interesting. It's like Washington, D.C.
Now, or 1145, you see the architecture? That's how the Nazis built. You see the Haus der Kunst is it now, you see? Angular, big blocks of stone, column, a bit inspired by the Romans, but not so harmonious and pleasant as Roman architecture or Greek architecture.
No.
Because they built, Hitler had the idea that the Third Reich would last 1,000 years, like the first one. That was his idea. So he built like big blocks of stone because that building would last 1,000 years. Like that's how they built. He wanted to make an empire like the first one. Like a Gothic church. And also the City Hall is neo-Gothic, but much more ornate. It's like more Flemish neo-Gothic style, the City Hall, which we see later. The chestnut trees are nice, huh? Sometimes red, sometimes mostly cream blossom. So that's the Ethnological Museum on the other side. And this is all neo-Gothic, and we go to the right, and this is the high fashion shopping street. All the big brands, Gucci, Armani, all kinds of expensive shops. And this is all beautiful neo-Gothic. You see also quite some cars here, because people Dior, Armani, Ferragamo,
Yeah.
Cucinelli, Valentino, Ralph Lauren. Okay, and then we get out of the bus. By the way, one of the most expensive hotels of Munich, the Four Seasons Hotel, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. Here on the right, Hotel die Vier Jahreszeiten, Four Seasons, Kempinski. That's quite a hotel.
St. Laurent.
Okay, to the left is the Hofbräuhaus, by the way. It's very close, yeah. From there we walk to the bus, and we only have to walk a short distance. The bus is parked behind the opera. This is the Opera House. The great composer of Bavaria in the 20th century was Richard Strauss.
Wow, there are some.
Not Johann Strauss of the waltzes. That's Vienna. But Richard Strauss, also known. Elvis used it in Las Vegas, his music for the intro. I'm going to talk about that. Yeah, Richard Strauss. It's not allowed officially, but it's completely full, and where we have to get out on the left side is always weird, because then we step out on the street side. They should change that. So we just get out here. If the police comes, I'm gonna say.
Why am I doing this? Because we are at the Opera House, and every summer there's a Richard Strauss festival, because he's the Bavarian classic composer. But he lived in the 20th century. He died in the 1960s. That was bad luck for him, because he was the best composer in the country. And what did Hitler say? You gotta make my Olympic hymn. You gotta make my music. You gotta be my court composer, of my Nazi composer. And he just wanted to make... he just wanted to make music, and otherwise they just put him in jail. You know what I mean? So yeah, he was the composer of the Nazis, but they tortured him. And after the war, he was, of course, there was a lot of discussion about, hey, you were bad. Well, what do you do? It's difficult, you know. He just wanted to make music, but his music is so beautiful. His operas, Richard Strauss, Richard Strauss. Let's go there. We have to wait. There's a Strauss festival. I'm a big Strauss fan. This was quite bombastic. Very beautiful, subtle. With violins. His violins, there are no violins as the violins of Strauss. It's almost like so maybe check him. Watch out for the chain there, huh? Don't stumble over the chain. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, to the right, this robust building was built in Renaissance style about 400 years ago. It's the new residence of the Bavarian ruling family. In those days there were still dukes, but in the 1800s they became kings. It's a fantastic palace, it's huge. That's the church that you saw, the yellow church, with 6 spires there. And there is this general's hall over there. And this is the opera. Ukrainian flag on top to support the guys of Ukraine. You see the Pegasus, the flying horse, and you see all kinds of classic nymphs. And you see the statues on the front of the building, but a bit angular. That's Apollo with the 9 muses. Huh? So this is the opera, and to the left of it there's a theater, the white building, Bayerische Staatsschauspielhaus. That's a theater. The one on the left, the small building in the corner. But this is the opera. I've been here I do opera tours with English guests, and I've been here at some festivals. It's fantastic, fantastical opera. Richard Strauss, check him out. Really beautiful. This is the old post office. It's nice, eh? Like the old classic building with the wall paintings of horses. It used to be the post office. Yeah? Okay. Let's go this way. Short walk to the square. For some bikes. Watch out for Porsche on the left. Left in the far.
Nice car.
Bavarian Parliament. The building in the far.
Nice car.
Bavarian Parliament are high on the hill with the Nike on top. Nike is the cars of victory, huh? Nike.
Huh?
That's why Nike is named Nike. Cars of victory.
I guess they're some pretty fancy places.
Yeah, maybe later on. Look, to the right there is a beer hall. Franciscan Friar beer hall. And that's the Bavarian flag, actually. So the beer flag. That's the actual Bavarian flag. Really like it. But there's a beer brand on it. A Bavarian beer brand. I'm gonna maybe hold the image sign in the air. Maybe the blue, not the blue one, but the other one. They do a lot of construction work. Let's stand here a bit on the side. So people can pass, because I want to show you one of the... There are 2 landmarks in Munich, I mentioned them. Double onion spire.
Oh yeah.
Church of 500 years old, from Renaissance, from the Gothic.
Wow. They survived the
20,000 people to build it. Huge church. You can check it out. They have the tomb of one of the very rulers of the
zwischen 10 und 20. GoPro, stop recording.
panel mic box behind you.
Fantastic.
It was UPS.
This it's Corey. Here we have
Fashion. It's always love these chestnut trees.
So, in general, ladies and gentlemen, so make sure not to leave it somewhere, right? Keep it with you. And if they process this in the States, and then I get a message from them, and then, you know, mostly there's nothing somebody, but when they cannot read a number or something, then sometimes they have to have it resent. Mostly it goes quite smooth, yeah. But make sure not to have it lying around somewhere, right? Keep it with you at all times. Because it's basically financial information. All right. Burr, Connie. Burr,
That bridge.
I got it. Here, this was
What's this building?
Oh, that was the Parliament. The
Parliament?
Parliament. You know, I pointed it out from far away, remember? But this is the Bavarian Parliament, yeah. Swenson, yeah. There's Swanson and Swenson. Yeah. Okay, Dalen and Lexi, yeah. Here we have the Potters. Lane and Joanne. Yeah. Here we Lois and what was it? Haven, yeah, Haven. Haven.
Up in the Danube. It's a beautiful river, here you see it. It is a bit grayish green. It depends on the weather a little bit, but it's grayish green. This morning when I was busy with things, you know, walking through the bus, and but we passed the Danube. I forgot to say that we passed the Danube, but the Danube was still very small there. The Danube starts in Germany and then it goes, you know, through Austria. They go through Croatia, Hungary, Serbia, Bulgaria, and it ends in the Black Sea. It goes southeast, and the Rhine goes northwest. The Rhine ends in the North Sea, the Danube in the Black Sea. But we passed Danube this morning when it was still small, going to Munich from Nuremberg. There's a monastery on the right. See the church and the buildings around it, a monastery. And now we get to the border in about 3 miles. That's a gas station at the border. and then we make a little toilet stop, yeah? But basically on the left it's already Austria, but the border is actually here, the Inn River on the left. It's exactly on the border, but then in about 3 miles we will be completely in Austria. We also cross the border on the road. The Inn River. It's actually like a kind of a spine of Tyrol. Tyrol, which is one of 9 states of Austria, is actually the Inn River with tributaries coming from the mountains. So there's mountains on both sides, and that's what basically Tyrol is, the Inn River, tributaries and mountains going down from both sides to the river. So it's really a skiing area. It's one of the most mountainous parts of Austria. Austria is quite mountainous. Great country to hike and ski, but I'll get back on that. We make a stop and then I'll talk a little bit about Austria, our second country. We do 7 countries, and Austria is the second one. Small country nowadays, about the size of Maine, but it used to be a huge empire. Gem, look! Beautiful town, and there's a tower.
Yeah, we're in Austria.
With an enormous bell, and they ring it every day. It has to do with the First World War. Yeah. It's called the Heroes Tower, but it's a beautiful town. 20% of them lives in Vienna, the capital, 1.8 million. It's a big city. And the capital, it's further east. We are further west in Austria. We are in the western part, which is the narrow part. It's a narrow part, east-west, and that's Tyrol, which is also the most mountainous part. The word was Grüßgott. So enjoy the scenery, it will be very nice. There's a text on above the road. It says, "I am the B172. I'm not a garbage disposal place." So it's about this road, you know, that people don't throw their things away, yeah? Don't litter, yeah. What does it say in the States? Litter, don't litter, fine, something like that?
Yeah.
$1,000 in the States? Oh, that's a lot. That works, I'm sure that works.
No, it doesn't.
It would work with me.
Where did it go?
Austria has 9 states, and yeah, you know the history. In the First World War and the Second World War, they worked together, eh? Germany and Austria fighting on the other side, and yeah, they have the same language. Austrian, although sounds a bit more friendly. They have a little bit of a different tongue, but it's German. Austrians are very elegant people, very elegantly dressed. They are, you know, the inhabitants of a former huge empire. They have a feeling of style, and they're very traditional, like the Germans. Also a little bit hierarchically thinking, as I said, you know, Sir Professor, Sir, you know, Sir Doctor. They really are a bit like that, but the Austrians are a bit more lenient, a bit more, how do you say, a bit more relaxed with that. The Germans are a little bit more, is that tight? A bit more, no, I'm talking very general, I don't want to tag people, but just a little bit of a difference in general. The Austrians know how to party, they're a lot of fun, and Dutch people, they always go skiing in Austria. for two reasons. You know, people are fun here. The Swiss are a bit stiff. Huh? The Swiss are not such party animals. They're always looking at their watch. And Austria is very much fun to go skiing there. So when people go to ski, Dutch people, they go to Austria because it's fun, especially the after ski, the après ski, the partying. But also Austria is cheaper than Switzerland, of course, and cheaper than France. So that's also a main reason for the Dutch. It's a country of, you know, you can go here to hike and to ski in the mountains. By the way, skiing, the first skiing in Austria was done in the town where we're going, the town of Kitzbühel. An inhabitant of Kitzbühel got skis from Norway, and then they started alpine skiing here. I'm talking about the 1890s. In the 1800s, didn't do alpine skiing here. It was introduced, it came from Norway, from the Telemark area, and yeah, then they introduced it here, and the first town that started with skiing was our town where we're going now. And our town is one of the 12 best of the Alps towns. That's how they call them in Austria, the best of the Alps, the 12 most prestigious skiing towns of Austria, the best of the Alps. Kitzbühel. It's a small town, only 4,000 or 5,000 inhabitants, but a very beautiful little village. And so Austria, as I said, was a huge empire in the past. You know what belonged? Look, there's a waterfall on the right, yeah? You know, Austria was, it had part of it. Hungary belonged to it before the end of the First World War. Hungary, part of Croatia, parts of Serbia, the northern part of Italy, until the 1861. They split off earlier. They fought themselves free. But also parts of Poland and parts of Czechia. Slovakia belonged to Austria. It was a huge country, a huge empire in the 19th century and until the end of the First World War. And it was ruled by one family. Somebody knows the name of the family? The Habsburgs. Yeah, the Habsburgs, the most powerful family that ever lived. And they had a very good method to increase their power. They didn't fight that many wars, they married. They married strategically. There's a sentence about the Habsburgs. They say, "Tu Felix Austria, you happy Austria. Nube," which means marry, let the other ones fight the wars. They were just clever marriages, they made clever marriages, the Habsburgs. And the Austrians used to look at themselves as the heart of the world, as if they had the biggest empire in the world. It was huge in the heart of Europe. They had an abbreviation, they called it AEIEU, AEIEU, which is Alles Erdreich ist Österreichs Untertan. Everybody on earth has to obey Austria. That was their motto. That's quite a motto, huh? AEIEU. Alles Erdreich ist Österreichs Untertan. And they were very powerful, but it was all finished. It all finished at the end of the First World War. One sec, I'll be back, yeah? A style house, and life is good here. People are, you know, they have a good income, and like in Germany actually also. But Austria is even more prosperous, I think. Switzerland is even more prosperous. Switzerland, of course. Life is good. A lot of nature. Not too many people. One big city. Apart from Vienna, most cities are only, you know, Vienna is 1.8 million, but the other cities are 200,000, 300,000 max. Even smaller, most of them. So it's pleasant. Look, there's a ski slope ahead of us, you see? Ski slope ahead of us. And the most famous Austrians, Sigmund Freud. He was from Austria. Arnold Schwarzenegger. They even have a song about Arnold. Da 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 is very good, very good in Hollywood. Steiermann, that's the easiest where it comes from. It comes from Steiermark in Austria. Steyr. I always tell that one. I promised Debbie to tell a joke that this was a joke. Restaurant, and then we go back. So tomorrow is a full day from 9 until 8:30 in the evening. So you know, breakfast starts already at 7, the buffet breakfast. You can choose your own time as long as we drive at 9, okay? And we stay here 2 nights, so that's easy. We don't have to pack our bags again tomorrow morning. And after that we go to Italy, via the capital of Tyrol, Innsbruck in Austria still. We visit Innsbruck and then we go to Italy. Okay, so that about tomorrow. So tonight we eat 7:20 buffet, and tomorrow morning we leave at 9. And I will talk a bit more about our village and what there is to see when we get closer to it. Yeah, probably we'll be there in half an hour. So I'm gonna shut up and you can enjoy of the beautiful countryside. Look at this, isn't that beautiful? A lot of national parks, San Francisco, LA, Las Vegas, of course I lost. I lost, but not too much. I lost $300 or something. That was not too. I survived. That's a winner. Well, that was really, that was an adventure. That was a fantastic adventure. Mark skis from Norway with him. They have 4 skiing areas here around, and they have one of the most prestigious ski races, the Hahnenkamm race, which means the rooster. How do you call this of a rooster? Where a rooster has on his head? The rooster cock. Comb. The rooster comb run, and that's a very famous ski run, very steep, one of the steepest ones. And that's right here in this town. And they have a big tennis tournament. It's a prestigious chic ski place, one of the 12 best of the Alps. And our hotel is a beautiful chalet style hotel. You know what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give you the number again in the bus, yeah? I go inside, get the rooming list, give you the number and the room number in the bus, and then you can go inside and get the keys at the reception, okay? And then they have an elevator, and the 100 numbers are the floors again, I think. So 100 is 1 floor up, 200 2 floor up. That's how it is mostly, and I think it's also that's how it's here. And if you want to go into the town, it's very simple. Our hotel will be on the right, in a little while, and then you just follow the road. Go out of the hotel to the right, follow the road a bit to the right, and then you see a big archway. That's the old city gate. You walk through the town. It's very colorful, beautiful colored houses, very nice, beautiful colored houses. And when you walk through the town, at the end on the left there's the hill with the 2 churches, and there's also a church in town, the St. Catherine's Church. And there are terraces everywhere. People are probably sitting on a terrace having a beer, although it's a bit nippy today, a little bit nippy. Look at the nice chalet style houses. That's typical Austria. Also Switzerland has that kind of houses. And yeah, this is skiing town Kitzbühel, Farn Hill. Tennis tournament, the big top of the world is playing here. Kitzbühel Tennis Club, yeah? And it's on television, you know, in Austria. It's a big thing. This year it's like the General Open ATP 250, you see? 29th of July to the 5th of 29th of July to the 5th of August. Yeah. So this is our hotel here on the right, the beautiful chalet hotel, and then the road goes here to the right. You see up front, to the right. Right. You go to the right, it makes a curve to the right, and then 200 yards you're in the old town.
You know, we'll get cards tomorrow. Look at these graves. They do that around churches.
They kind of look like that after I'm gone. So you gotta take care of that.
These things.
Oh, they're just coming out.
We went in the wrong way. Or maybe you're going. Oh. Okay.
Maybe there might be something over here that says it.
Wow, the air conditioner works.
Yeah, it does.
Wow.
I thought they preached from up here.
I think they do.
Everybody could see.
Probably so. Yeah, that's the way the other one was too.
Because they all have one of those.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah.
See the microphone up there?
Yeah. But I bet there's one. Let's go see if I can go over.
There's the organ.
That.
There's the preaching stand, I think. Okay, vibration was off. Organ's back behind. Choir's probably back there too. Beautiful paintings on a ceiling. All over the ceilings, just beautiful paintings. Isn't it amazing?
No, he's killing me, Robert. It's just
Yeah, I wonder what that is right there. Look at this. The 4 kids.
Oh, the family.
Yeah.
Look, Eloisa and Hugo passed away the same year.
Wow. They're born a year apart,
Which
huh?
one has so many people?
Well, here's the whole family.
But there's, I
Right.
think there's more up here. Than
Yeah, like this is like 4 of them. Yeah, Hugo.
I mean, these have to be taken care of.
Yeah, Inge. Oh, more than 4 even. Aloysia, Hugo.
All
Yeah,
those.
female. Those cemeteries.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow. Little candles too. Wow, it just goes on and on.
I wonder if that's a directory or something. It's got a cross on it.
A directory?
A rectory. You know, the
Oh no, I don't.
basically the place where the Pope lives.
Oh,
Not the Pope really, but the
the
priest or the
yeah. Oh wow, yeah. Oh, this has got a candle going in it right now. I mean, they put a piece of
I saw several of them.
Yeah.
Who have had those
Yeah.
like pine boughs in the water.
yeah.
I don't know.
Someday I think some of these Catholics are
We
really.
should tell her.
I-
That is a huge dandelion right there.
I'm thinking someday these people are really Christians. I mean,
yeah.
Christ is everywhere.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Is it a sign? It's a sign of the time?
See, there he is right there.
With the flag?
Huh?
He's on a bike.
It was trying to slow the sky.
That's St. Peter's behind us, isn't it? It's not happening.
It was really slow to start, but this is really
Yeah.
testing to see how long we can hold our arms above our heads.
This goes back to the tail until we fix it.
Holy cow. I see movement.
Do ya?
I think so. I lied. Right now. Maybe we missed it. Wow, this is almost as good as Disneyland. That guy's riding a horse or a seal or something. Oh, those guys knights fighting each other? Wow, they look like knights on horses. Oh, here comes the guys with the brooms cleaning up. Yeah, there probably is. Those are horse guys again. Oh, he got him. The Knights, they just had a duel. Oh. snap a picture, honey? Okay, that's what I meant. Picture. Here they go.
I like it. If you find 2 seats or 4 seats, go for it.
Oh yeah. Love it. Perfect timing.
Silhouettes are silhouettes.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, this one's gonna speak to you.
It's only got one ear.
I got the end of it. There you go, Robert. Do you hear my?
I'm sure she doesn't even know my name, but she knows I'm Kelly. So she's always very friendly. But anyhow, I thought, I wonder what happened to Mr. Birch.
That's not green tea.
No.
Okay.